Set Apart Homestead. This is Travis here at the Prepared Homestead. Have a video that I know that many of you might say, oh my goodness, this is boring. You know, you've been talking about, the end of an empire and the, American economy and the dollar crashing and all this kind of stuff. And now we're going to talk about something boring. Yes, okay, it's a little boring, but I think it's really important, and I have some ideas that might help some of you preppers. Now, I'm sure some of you seasoned, old hats have got it all figured out, but there's a lot of people out there that are really coming on board, and they're still kind of newbies. They're still trying to figure it out, and hopefully some of the suggestions that I have today can help you along your path of becoming a prepper and becoming more prepared. Before I get started, I want to cover a couple of things. One thing is just a tip, and I'm not getting any money for this, so it's just my personal opinion. For the last couple of years, really for quite a while, I've had the hardest time finding a water hose that's worth anything. I don't know if it's just me or if you folks have noticed the same thing, but water hose quality just seems to be awful. Even when you buy the heavy duty, the ranch, farm grade quality, industrial quality, they don't last. If I get 6 months out of a water hose, I'm considering it, an accomplishment. So anyways, I went and bought a water hose from Harbor Freight. I know some of their stuff is amazingly good quality for the price, and then other stuff not so much. And this is one of those things that I think it's well worth the price. It was actually a little bit cheaper than the same kind of quality grade hose at the farm store. It's a commercial grade quality, 100-foot hose. Ended up going and getting a second one. And it's a big 3/4 inch kind of off-white hose. I was going to pull it out and get it here, but we're using it, so I just didn't want to mess with dragging around 200 foot of hose to show you guys. But at Harbor Freight, they have some pretty good quality water hoses. I'd put them up against any of the farm store, commercial grade quality. And I think I paid $36, $39 for a 100-foot hose, and it's a 3/4 inch diameter, so it's a bigger, much bigger diameter, real heavy-duty, thick thing. So anyways, wanted to pass that along. Also, there's a bunch of links below in the description. If you want to get a hold of me, you want to find out more what we're doing, we're really increasing our presence on places like Facebook and Instagram and Twitter, doing some more writing, doing consulting. And you can find out some of that information below in the description, and also on places like Facebook, website, that kind of stuff. Anyways, thank you for watching the video and for liking and subscribing. Now, let's get on with it. The boring stuff. I'm sure many of you have watched apocalyptic, doomsday type movies. And one of the things that always talks about in the movies is salt. Salt is so valuable, in these apocalyptic times, that salt will be valuable. And they're probably not too far from the truth. Salt for eons has been extremely valuable, and only in modern times where we're able to mine it in very large quantities and spread it around in a cheap manner for people has it not been valuable. But throughout all history, salt has been one of the most valuable things on the planet. In fact, there's a lot of research that the migration of humans throughout history could have been following salt mine deposits. And they also believe animal migration can also at times be directed due to salt deposits. Salt is very important, not just because that we need it. It's crucial for our survival. Our bodies require salt, right? Along with our healthy, balanced diet and all that kind of stuff. But salt is also extremely crucial when it comes to preserving. If you have salt, you in theory can preserve all your food to last to the next year. Now, you may have a freezer, you may do canning, you may do dehydrating, all these other methods of preserving. But if something really bad happens to where the grid was gone, electricity was gone, you can't run your freezers, you may not be able to resupply with cans, because if you don't have enough jars and lids and rings and stuff to can stuff, you may not be able to can things. If that happens, what are you going to do to preserve your food? and that's where salt comes in. Salt is a preservative. In fact, if you take meat and just use salt, you can preserve meat just with salt alone. You know, sure, there's other things you might want to put in there for flavoring and for different types of meat, but in the end, if things get bad and you have to, you know, shoot a deer, butcher an animal, and you want that meat to last as long as possible, if you have enough salt to salt that meat down, it will last. So today we're going to talk about some ways that you can purchase it. You may choose to do it the way I do. I'm not recommending this because I'll give you a quick disclaimer. Some of the products that I'm showing here are not made for human consumption. They're livestock feed. Now, we have made the choice that we feel it's okay to consume this stuff because we've done the research and found that the difference between human grade salt and livestock grade salt is extremely negligible. And basically all it means is there could be a little bit of dirt in it from when they're mining it. It doesn't go through quite the filtering process to get out any little particles. And we're okay with that. I'm not recommending that you do that. But I will give you some options along the way, not just on purchasing it, but also how to store it. Because, you know, you can go to, say, your grocery store or Walmart or whatever and get the little tubs or whatever of salt, but you're going to have to be buying a whole lot of those, and it's much, much more expensive buying it in small quantities. If you can buy it in large bulk, you can stock up really quick on salt. And have it till, you know, you could literally stock up on a lifetime of salt for probably less than $100, maybe a little bit more if you did it right. So I'm going to give you some options. First one here, this is human grade consumption Redmonds sea salt or Redmonds real salt. This stuff, this one is not open, so I'm not going to open it. I thought I'd grabbed the one. We have two of them and one we use out of. This one is the more expensive product that we have, even though it's still not terribly expensive. It's a 10-pound tub of salt that we paid $45 for. Now, this stuff, it's that pink looking salt. The reason why we use it has a lot of minerals in it. Your body needs certain minerals to function, and there are some minerals that help the body out. And if you're eating a balanced diet to where you have access to the foods that you need, you may not need a whole lot of these minerals, but it's certainly good to have them. But in a, you know, down situation, the end of the world as we know it, and maybe you're stuck eating your beans and rice for a while, your body is going to start needing certain nutrients that you're not going to get from eating beans and rice primarily. So something like this isn't just a preservative. It doesn't just add flavor to your food, but it also adds very vital, needed minerals to your body. So we use this primarily for consumption. This is what we use in our salt shakers and, you know, salting our food when we're cooking, things like that. And, you know, it works well for us. So I'm going to switch over to this bag over here. We'll get to the thing in the middle. A lot of you folks know what this is. This is also Redmonds salt. This salt and this salt are virtually the same thing. The two differences is this salt is a little bit more coarse. Even though it says fine, compared to table salt, it's not quite the consistency of table salt. This is more of like what you would see your kosher salts, your pickling salts. It's a little bit more coarse ground, but this is also livestock salt. It's pink just like this. It comes from the exact same salt deposits. It's the same brand. The difference between this and this is that this stuff goes through a little bit more of a filtering process, sifting out any fine particles. And if you taste this stuff, which we have, occasionally you get like a tiny little bit of grit, but it's very, very negligible. We're not talking like sand. It's very minor. This could be used for preserving meat. This could be used for pickling vegetables. You know, if you just want to buy it for your animals, hey, that's fine too. But here's the deal. This is 10 pounds, and if you get a good deal on it, you can get it for around $45, and sometimes it's more than that. And that $45, that was like a year ago price. It's probably gone up since then because everything's gone up. This is a 50-pound bag for $13 at our local farm store. $13 for 50 pounds. So, you know, you have to make the decision for yourself and for your family, but for us, we decided, and we've tested it and everything, that we are okay. We've done the research online to actually find out what the real difference is. There's no added chemicals, anything like that in this salt. And we are okay with using it for our own consumption. But I am not, repeat, I am not recommending that you do that. This is just for educational purposes only. Now, let's get on to this one. This is your common salt block lick that you can get at pretty much any farm store. This is a 50-pound block of just salt. It's not sea salt, it's not red salt. This is basically table salt. It does not have iodine in it. It is just pure salt. And what it is, it's already ground up, and they put it in a machine that basically compresses it. And if you chip it away and kind of play with it, you can get some of it to come off, okay? Down here at the bottom, there's some right here on the table that's broken off. This is 50 pounds of just pure salt. This will run you between $5 and $6 a block. Now, yes, there's some dirt on it because they just come in on pallets and they bounce them around and they stamp stuff on them, and this one's got a little rust on the back of it. If you chose to use this, you could easily chip this off, break off a chunk with a hammer. You could put it through a little grinder, coffee grinder, grinding mill of some sort, and it will bring it down to a more fine grain. And you've done that for $5 to $6 for 50 pounds of salt. Now, again, it's your choice if you want to do this, but it is just pure salt. Basically, the exact same thing that you put in your salt shaker is right there, compressed down into this big 50-pound block. And for $5 to $6, it would not take you very long to come up with several hundred pounds, and take you very much money to come up with several hundred pounds of salt. Something that you can use on your food to make it taste good, because if all you're eating is beans and rice and other canned food, the food's going to start getting a little bland. You want some flavor. It's good for your body. It works for preserving, and you can barter with it. Now, let's get on to storing salt, because and there's other options. You can buy a 50-pound bag of table salt, and I'm not sure what the going price is, but you used to be able to get one for about $30 for a 50-pound bag. Maybe you still can. So if you want to just go that route, and you're willing to spend a little extra money and not worry so much about saving, that's fine too. Nothing wrong with it. But I encourage you to do that because salt is very important. And when you're, if you have to eat out of your food supply for a year or two, and all you're eating is beans and rice and canned goods and stuff, it's going to start getting bland, and you're going to need certain minerals in your body. Now, to store this, salt never goes bad. It doesn't spoil. It's not like a vegetable or a meat where it spoils or goes rancid. It never does. The two things with salt is you need to keep it dry, and you need to keep out particles, dirt, contaminants out of the salt. That's the main thing to remember. So when you're storing it, 5-gallon food grade buckets work well. You can store it in that. This is basically a food grade bucket, probably about a gallon food grade bucket. You could put them in 5-gallon food grade buckets. You could also put them in large drums. They make food grade drums, but basically you want one that has a sealable lid, that has the little clamp on the lid. My word of warning is that salt causes oxidation on metal. So if you get a steel drum to put it in, you need to put a liner in it. You don't want to take your salt, even if it's food grade. Even if it's a food grade steel drum and maybe it has a coating on the inside to make it food safe, you still do not want to put your salt directly in to that bucket or that steel drum, because it will cause it to deteriorate over time and rust. They do make heavy-duty plastic liners to put into 55-gallon drums. I would not recommend getting a trash can type. The trash bag type are really thin. Trash bags are thin, but you can get something in the 3 to 4 mil thickness, which is pretty thick, that you would line a 55-gallon drum and then fill the thing full of salt and seal it off. You could do that. You could fill the drum, purchase the drum, and fill the drum for probably less than $100. And you would have 55 gallons of salt. And 55 gallons, 1 gallon is 10 pounds, so you're looking at 550 pounds of salt, roughly, which is a lot of salt and would probably last your lifetime. If you even preserving foods and stuff like that. So I would highly recommend looking at your salt supply and trying to figure out what you need. I know a lot of people, they pick up a few extra at the grocery store. Nothing in the world wrong with that, but you can bulk up on salt really quick by using these methods if you're okay with purchasing salt from the farm store. Some people don't like it, but we buy corn there, we buy oats there, and we have tasted them, we have tested it out, and we're okay with it. If you do the research on how this stuff is made and why it's different, what makes it different between human consumption and livestock consumption, it's not really that big of a deal. But hey, that's your choice, so I don't want to advise you in something that you may not like doing. Anyways, so these are some pretty good ideas on salt. Let me know in the comments what you might do or some ideas that you think would work, so that others can find out, because certainly this is not the only way to stock up on salt. This is just how we do it. So let us know in the comments, and we'll catch you in the next video.